Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We are your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of the Travsessed. And in this week's show, we're going to pick up where we left off last week with our power situation here in Florida and the fact that we are leaving for Oaxaca and currently in Oaxaca, Mexico, when this episode drops.
Well, and we're still hungover from our crazy night in St. Augustine that we're going to get into, so.
Very true.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're here in St. Auggie still, even though real time we are in Oaxaca, Mexico. Mm-hmm. You can follow along with us if you want on our Instagram story because we're hosting our very first trip there, which I'm excited about.
Very excited.
But the last time we were recording, it was during the storm, the tropical storm. Our power had gone off, and we were like, "Oh, well, hopefully by the time we're done."
It wasn't. The storm had already come through, and there was our second power
issue. Oh, you're right. Okay. So then, but it had gone off while we were podcasting, or right before we were about to podcast. We're like, "Okay, I hope by the time we're done, it's going to be back on. We'll get back to normal life." Blah blah blah. Okay. That's not what happened.
No.
I swear to God, it's just, so power didn't come back on. And we're staying in an Airbnb. So I reached out to the contact and they were like, okay, we reached out to the power company. What is it called? PGA? Florida
FPL.
FPL. And they said they're showing that there's electricity going to your unit, that they currently have it. So there's no reason your power should not be on. And we were the only apartment in our building. Everyone else had lights. Everyone else had electricity except ours. So they weren't sure why. So she's like, we're going to send somebody out and your power should be on by 9:15. This was at 5:36 or something. And she was a little doll. And because I know it wasn't her fault. It's nobody's fault, but it was a really frustrating situation because we had shit to do. We just wanted to be in our home. We got fish to cook dinner. We just wanted to chill. We had to leave the house. And she was like, I'll pay for your guys' dinner for the inconvenience. Go have a dinner. By the time you get back, your power is going to be back on. We're like, all right. It was kind of like a nice excuse to get out of the house.
Yeah, we went down to the beach, went to Commander's, which is a place on A1A.
Amazing.
And then went out to the beach and stood out by the beach and the storm was coming in. It was storm on one side, sunset on the other. It was like an epic sunset. So it was actually a quite nice little night.
It was really nice.
Took Mimi LaRue.
We took Mimi LaRue. We sat on the water. I feel like one thing I love so much about Florida, and I feel and Commanders kind of encompasses that, is it's a little seafood shack in Matanzas, basically, by St. Augustine Beach. And it's a fish market, but then it's a restaurant. And I feel like this is such a Florida thing. I don't know, maybe, I'm sure it's other places, but this is what I think of with Florida. It's you're sitting outside, we were on the water, there's a pretty sunset, and you're getting blackened shrimp, blackened fresh seafood. And it's just, and it's warm and kind of sticky and humid. But it's just that's what I think about when I think about home, is sitting outside eating some blackened seafood on the water. We were on the intercoastal, there's a marsh, it's just it felt very Florida moment.
Oh, very much.
Yeah,
all the bugs.
All the flies.
Yeah.
It just great. Felt very home.
Yeah.
So we go, it's 9 o'clock, maybe 8:50. We're like, okay, let's head home. Power's going to be coming back on. Get home. Still nothing.
Yeah. And then we message and we're like, so the power's not back on. And so our company person basically was like, oh, so they never relayed the message, but they canceled the power company to come out.
Yep.
And we were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Are
you freaking kidding me? And again, so I'm packing up. I'm thinking we got to go to a hotel. And it was just so frustrating because honestly, the reason we got an Airbnb is because we needed a place to just recharge, focus, get some work done, prepare for this, stint of trips that we have, and just be settled, right? We had moved from West Virginia, then we were at my sister's, then we had this place here, and then we're going to Aaron's mom, and we just wanted a place to be settled and just be. And so the fact that we had to pack up, now again, I was very grateful because she said we have a unit 2 buildings down.
Well, technically it was the next building down.
Yes.
She originally said 2 buildings down, which then Kim went and tried to break into some random lady's house and
Hold on, I'm trying.
Okay.
You're jumping around. Okay,
well,
I'm building
up
up a story. Okay.
Okay.
So she said we have a place you can move into, which I was grateful for because we didn't have to go to a hotel, but we still had to bring all of our stuff over and all of our food.
Okay, that's where I was going. So it was funny because I was telling the story, I think it was to your sister or somebody, and I was just like, what's funny about this is we're not just like on vacation. It wasn't like we had our little rolly suitcases and we can just throw our clothes in and go. Like, we're basically living here.
Yeah.
So there was like an entire stockpile of food in the fridge, and now the power's been out for hours, which we're going to lose our food overnight. We had stuff in the freezer. We had to get our blender, our coffee, our protein powder, our the stuff that we make every day. All of our potions. Mimi's stuff, Mimi's bed, Mimi's food. Mimi, she just looked at me.
Oh my gosh, she's not deaf.
Not completely, I guess. And then, so it's basically 3 carloads of stuff to just move next door.
It's honestly insane.
It's kind of nuts.
It's kind of an issue. The amount of stuff we have is kind of, I don't know, we got to reevaluate. But it's pouring rain. Now she says it's 2 buildings down. 8A. That's all she said. She didn't give me the address. She just said it's 2 buildings down. It's 8A. I am driving like freaking Ace Ventura because it's pitch black and I'm trying to see where's 8A, couldn't see it. I pull in, I'm like, I think this is it. I go upstairs and it was 8A and there was a sign that said, a Chihuahua lives here or something. And I'm like, okay, this is weird because it seemed there was an umbrella outside. It just seemed like someone's home. So I go to open the screen and it's not unlocking, but I'm like, oh, is it just one of those, it's harder, you got to use your muscle. So now I'm out there trying to get in and I'm like, okay, I don't think that this is 8A. So I sent her a picture and I'm like, is this the place? And she's like, oh no, that's not ours. Let me try to figure out what the building number is. So now I'm like, okay, so I run back in my car and now I'm worried these people are going to come after me after I've been literally trying to break into their apartment. Get back in my car. You're walking down the street with bags and bags of shit. And I'm like, get in. That's not the place. What is going on? So then she texts me. She's like, oh, it's 405A. That's the building. So I was like, that would have been super helpful from the beginning.
Yeah.
So we find the apartment. We open up the door, we drop our stuff in it, we leave, I close the door, and I left my phone in there I was using my phone to communicate with her to get all the information. And then the code that I was putting in was wrong. And so the thing just completely stopped and it was beeping and I was like, oh my God, now it's locked me out. My phone and Mimi are inside. I have no way to get in touch with this lady to try to reset the fucking code. Now I'm just crying.
Yeah, she's freaking out.
I was like, it's 10 o'clock at night, mind you. I'm absolutely exhausted. We're both pooped. All we want to do, Mimi just went into her bed and got her little baby. She's very spunky at night now. So I'm just crying. I'm like, I'm so done. I'm so fucking done. I'm so over this. This is insane. And you just went up there and like put the code in and it worked. But I was like, I swear I just sat here.
The door was a little bit open, so I just...
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. So I pulled it shut and then put the code in and it was fine. So it wasn't locking or it wasn't like trying... That's why it was beeping like that, because it couldn't lock because the door was a little bit open.
Oh, okay. I swear
All
it was
closed.
Good. All right, whatever. I had a freaking breakdown.
Yeah, well, I mean, rightfully so.
And so we finally got in. Okay, we moved all this stuff over. We finally got in. And it smelled so bad like cigarettes too. And I was like, I just want you to know it smells horrible in here like cigarettes. And I just don't want you to think we were smoking in here.
And they came in the next day and they were just like, the downstairs neighbors like smokes over a pack a day. And it's come up into the apartment. And they were like, we've tried everything.
Yeah.
But once you turn the air on, it kind of like moves out a little bit.
I mean, I could have cared less. All I wanted to do was like, the place was clean. It was so nice. It was like, all I wanted to do was take a shower, crawl into bed. And we didn't have Wi-Fi.
No, so I get in and basically it says like, malfunction, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just unplugged it, plugged it back in just because, I mean, we've been losing power, the storm, who knows. So I like reset and then it was like, you have to log into the app and you got to do this and you got to do that. And like, we can't get in touch with them. They don't know. So we basically went without Wi-Fi for the night, which was like fine because it was already like late. And then woke up the next morning. They sent like a team over. Kim went to the gym. And then were you going to see your mom that day? Oh yeah, you were going to see your mom. So then they came over. Come to find out, the whole power situation was our master box, I guess you would say, like the main box.
The breaker,
the main breaker, which is down on the first floor in a little shed area, was tripped. And it was the only one out of all the places that were tripped. So they just turned the power on, the switch, turned it back on, and the power came back on. And so we could have had power that whole night. All I had to do was go down there and flip the switch and it would have been fine. And so then they were, again, super nice. It was the maintenance guy and then basically the building manager and her son. And they were like, can we help you move back? And I was like, oh, no, it's okay. Like, we'll do it when we get back. And they're like, we have 3 of us. Let's just get you moved over. We'll take your stuff over for you. So
Which is so nice in theory.
So they all like carried our stuff over. I'm like packing, I'm scrambling, I'm just throwing stuff
like
in bags.
Nervous because they're like waiting.
Yeah, and so they're like, I was making sure I didn't leave anything behind, and then trying to pick up a little bit in the house for them, and then basically took off, moved in, and she said, well, we're gonna have an electrician come because that's a little weird, and so we want to kind of see what's going on. He might turn the power off for like 15 minutes or so, and I was like, that's fine, just let me know or whatever. And so I'm sitting up here, 3 p.m. rolls around and boop, power goes out. And so 3:15 comes, nothing. 3:20, 3:45, I'm still sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, Kim's gonna come home and she's going to lose
blow a gasket.
Her mind. And then I'm thinking, I just moved all the way back all over here. Then I got everything cleaned up, kind of put it all in its location, got really ready for like the rest of the week. And now we have to move again. And so I went downstairs and I thought I went to the shed that they were in. And so I noticed that the fuse box was tripped again. So I was like, oh, so I turned it on and then it goes click and turns orange and drops back down. So I'm like, crap. So I flip it up again and I wanted to run and try to see if we had power. And I hear it go click. So I went back in. The third time I went back in, I just hear this. I look down and it is a massive possum. And he's like out of his hole and he's like, so I was like, oh my God. So I like closed the door and like, I was like, well, maybe that's not the place. And so I texted them and I was like, hey, just want to let you know the fuse box is off. It's orange. It looks like it's tripped, blah, blah. Come to find out I was in the completely wrong shed. Don't know what I was flipping on and off. Apparently it was like the water pump.
Oh my God, dude.
And so I made sure that I went back and put it how it was. And I had a stick this time in case the possum tried to get me.
That's terrifying, by the way.
I mean, this thing was massive.
Like, the whole thing, it was just a shit show.
Yeah.
And luckily, knock on wood, everything's been fine since then.
I flipped the switch after 3:45 and it's never gone off.
Well, because I said, I'm like, listen, if this is going to keep going on and off, like, we got to go. We like, this is ridiculous. This is so inconvenient. It just can't be in a place that has on and off power. But when I was walking up all the stuff again and like pouring down rain, pitch black, just so over, I was like, I don't want to move anymore.
No.
I'm so over moving right now, and like all of our stuff, and tomorrow you brought a bunch of stuff back to storage, but tomorrow, like, we're packing up and stuff tonight because tomorrow we're going to Aaron's mom's, because then the next day we leave for Mexico. And just looking around again, I'm like, how did this happen? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just over moving. I'm honestly so excited just to get on that airplane and just have my suitcase.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. I don't have a bathroom bin and a kitchen bin and a freaking blender and a bag of, well, I do have a bag of potions. Let's not kid ourselves. But anyways, it was
office stuff.
The office stuff, and we have our scale because we got to mail out backpacks. And I mean, again, it's all things that we use and that we need. It's just become a lot of stuff that we have to lug with us everywhere.
I think we just realized that we just can't be moving around and trying to work.
Yeah,
because we cook everything, we eat everything from home. We don't like going out to eat all the time,
which we've done.
And like when we cook, we like the food that we like to eat. So like we know our spices, we know what we want, and like most Airbnbs don't have all that. And so we have to buy it all. Yeah. And so, it is what it is.
Yeah. Anyways, snooze fest. So
okay.
I mean, did you have anything else you want to say about that?
I mean, not really.
Okay. That's kind of just been what we've been doing this week.
I mean, I gotta say, like, we moved in when?
I don't know. What's today? I don't even know.
Today's Monday.
It's been a whirlwind. Monday. We moved in on Saturday. So we've been here.
It's already been a week and 2 days.
Yeah. It's insane. Like, time has just flown by. So our Oaxaca trip starts Saturday, okay? And we were just going over stuff for the trip, and I was like, wait, I think the trip starts on Saturday. And just realizing, I don't know, it just clicked of like, holy shit, dude. Like, the trip starts on Saturday. Like, this week starts. What?
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's freaking insane.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Also, if you're listening to this and you want to come to Portland, Maine with us for a day trip, we have a couple spots left. And if you're around that area, or even if you're not around that area, because there's people that are coming in that are staying the night, and we're staying the weekend. So if you want to have like a fun little weekend getaway, we have a couple of spots. It's going to be so much fun. We planned a really cool day. We've chartered a boat. We're going to go out around the Maine coast and have drinks and snacks. And
the leaves are going to be changing.
It's fall. We're going to have a sunset dinner vibe over the harbor on an island. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a really, really freaking cool day. So if you are interested in that and you want to learn more, email us at hello@Travsessed.com. We'd love to have you come. It's going to be a short and fun day. Yeah. With a bunch of other travelers.
Oh, I know. A lot to look forward to, because we basically do Oaxaca, leave straight from Oaxaca, go to Greece, run 2 Greece trips, which I can't believe that's already here.
We're not running the second one, but...
We're not, but that's what...
our hosts are.
We have new hosts running the second trip. Friends of ours, Aaron and Adam, they've been on multiple trips with us. They're going to host the second Greece trip, which is super exciting to have. And Kim and I are going to come home, get everything prepared for Everest, and run Portland.
Yep.
Which is awesome. And then off to Nepal we go.
Yeah.
And we're going to be there. And then we come home and we run the first ever Travsessed weekend trip in wine country.
Yeah, which we're finishing up the details of that now. That's going to be a short and sweet one too, because let me just say this. This is our first U.S.-based trip that we've planned. And wine country is notoriously super expensive anyways. But I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like, compared to like other well, I guess like obviously New Zealand's super expensive, and
South America,
like
Patagonia,
there's places that are expensive, but for the most part, I was just shocked, like getting a driver, getting a guide. It's just like, holy crap, America's expensive.
Well, and just like, because we're used to doing this internationally, and a driver is never an issue. Like in another country, easy to find, relatively inexpensive for a driver for like the whole day. I mean, are you kidding me? That's never a part of a huge expense
Compared to here,
compared
yeah.
to here, a driver is like more than a hotel.
Yeah, like
it's insane.
Like $1,000+ dollars,
Yeah.
like just for a ride.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So, anyways, we're working out those details.
A ride for a group.
Oh yeah, not just like an Uber.
Yeah.
But we're working out those details, so we will have that trip going soon. I think I'm hoping to finish it up and then be able to release it next Friday. And that's going to be the weekend of November 9th. So, anywho, let's talk about St. Augustine right quick.
Oh boy.
Listen.
Well, where do you want to go with that? I mean, I feel like there's so much that could be said.
Well, I think, okay, so we haven't been drinking a lot lately.
Let's put it out there this way. If our trips weren't the way our trips were designed,
Wait. Like, let's build up the story. Okay?
Okay.
You always want to shoot your load. Like, you got to build the story.
Okay. No, go ahead.
No?
I was just giving like a preface of like where we're at, and then we can like build the story in. That's all.
Okay, go ahead.
It's almost like here's the thing, and then the hindsight moment, right? Like kind of leading up to all that. So it shows like where my mind is.
Okay.
Right? And so basically what I was stating was Kim and I have been saying that, number one, if we didn't run the trips and the trips having like the way they are and how we plan them, which again, we plan them, so I get it, but like we would no longer drink. Yeah. Period. We just wouldn't be, alcohol would not be a part of our lives at all.
Right. And
because of.
So if you've been listening to the podcast, and you know, we did this detox when we came back from Patagonia, and we were like, we're going to go 30 days and we're not going to drink and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to eat really clean. We just need to like detox from that trip. And we felt amazing. And I'll say too, we're usually people who drink once a week. We've already kind of talked about this, but we would go out to dinner. We would have drinks usually once a week, like rare twice a week, but like you could always count us in for once a week, right? On a weekend, we'd go have dinner and drinks. That was our normal. So we went 30 days and we're like, wow, like we felt so freaking good, so clear, so amazing, working out, eating clean, just felt every day amazing. And we're like, this is where it's at. And then we went to Charlotte and drank so much,
spent so much money on alcohol, and then felt horrible
like
after.
Absolute dog poo.
Yeah. And then it was just like, we have to drive home. This feels awful.
And we're like, why?
Why? So why did we do that?
Yeah. So we talked about that on another episode. Then we went like 30 more days, just not even like thinking about it. Wasn't like we're like, let's go 30 more. It just happened that we were both like, you know what? Like I'm good. I don't, also living in Charleston, there wasn't that many places to go, but it was more than that. We just like we just didn't want to do it. So then we drank again on your last day of work.
Denver.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, then we went to Denver.
Which was fine. Denver was good. Denver was a good drinking weekend.
Yeah, I guess. And then, I mean, it was fine.
It wasn't anything that I was like, oh, God, that sucked.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it ever sucks. It's always the way that I feel the next day, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the part that's like, oh, yeah, it was fun, but it's just like, oh, I feel horrible. So long story short, over the last, since we got home from Patagonia, which was in April, since then, 3 months, we've just been like not drinking very much.
No, we drank 3 times.
And we have felt so good. And that's important to us right now and where we're at. And so Saturday, we knew, so I was going out with my girlfriend that we've been friends for like 20 plus years. She was coming to St. Augustine. We were going to go have a dinner together. And then Aaron was going with like his friends that he grew up with. They were playing golf and dinner and like just having like a fun day. We knew that was coming. We were excited about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, I just don't want to be hungover because the next day was your birthday. And I didn't want to feel like shit. And also, I'll just preface too that, and I've said this a million times, but I'm somebody who just gets hungover very easily. I don't know if it's just the way my body digests alcohol. I'm not sure. But ever since I started drinking when I was a teenager, I've always had violent hangovers. Like nobody else.
Whether it's one drink or 10.
It doesn't matter how much I drink. I am out the next day. I am throwing up. I am so beyond sick. And it's always been like...
And none of the hangover tinctures ever work either.
I know. And I've tried everything. Nothing works. And so that's just been a part of it, and which is another reason why I'm like, I want to drink less and less, because I don't want to feel like shit, right?
Well, not only in the times that we were not drinking, we basically set goals, achieved every one of those goals, had more motivated ideas, which then we brought to life, which then we launched, which then we were like, excited about life. I was not missing any of my gym days. I was feeling absolutely fantastic. My weight was dropping off like crazy. I was feeling the best that I've ever have. I was going to more Orange Theories, working out harder, not feeling like a strain in my muscles, not feeling like, it was basically, I had a trend of like, I would work out for like 2 weeks and I would get hurt. Something would, my Achilles, my calf, my leg, my arm, like whatever it was, would be injured, and then I would like drop off the map and like stop going on a regular basis, gain the weight and all this kind of stuff. I have never felt better and better, and every single day I feel like I'm getting more in shape and on all levels, right? And like feeling my best. And that's a feeling that beats any sort of drunk to me.
I 100% agree. And so we went out. And I knew I was going to have a drink, and I was excited about it.
Which we're not opposed.
No, and that's the thing is like, this is where we feel conflicted, because yes, I enjoy having a drink sometimes, and like, it's fun and I enjoy it, but it's just been, I don't know, it's just been so extreme so we went out and I was with my friend at first, and we talked and we laughed, and like we were just having so much fun. We went to a martini bar, and I had like 3 martinis. Ooh. Which,
4, you usually like night.
And that's even when I'm drinking normally. And I'm such a lightweight now because I don't drink very much, and amateur move, I did not eat. We had dinner, so our original plan was we were going to meet. We were going to go have a espresso martini because she's never had one before. So I was excited to like introduce her to her first one, which they didn't have tequila, so that didn't really count. But we were going to have an espresso martini, and then we were going to go have dinner. That was the plan. So we went at like 3:30, so it was early. So we're like, we'll have a drink, then we'll go have an early dinner, call it a day. And it's like you're with your friend and you're laughing and you're talking and you're telling stories, and it's like one martini turns into another martini, and then she ended up not really liking the espresso martini, so she ordered something different and gave me hers. So 3 hours later, we still haven't ate anything, and we drank a lot, and then we go to another place. And we just ordered a couple of tacos. I think I ate a half a taco.
Well, you know what happens on's you've had that much alcohol, you don't feel really like eating.
I know, which is why I'm usually so good about that. We both are. It's like I usually we don't drink until we've had food. Like we're really solid.
I won't even cheers until there's food on the table.
I know, like that was so dumb, and I knew it. And I had a shake for lunch, which is crazy because that's all we had.
And you went to the gym that day.
Yeah. So it was a recipe for disaster from the freaking beginning. And then the boys came and met us. So they played golf. And then they came and met us at the taco place just to say hi. And Debbie is a psycho. And so she bought everybody a round of tequila shots.
Mm-hmm. And
that was a good idea.
That's when it went night.
That was the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already drunk. I should have just went home after the we should have went and had dinner, and I should have went home and gone to bed. Like that's what should have happened. But we were social and it was fun, and it's like you're in that vibe where like normally I don't even do shots.
Which we also haven't been in that vibe for 10 months. And so now you're back with your friends and you're like cruising around St. Augustine. Like it feels like, wow, like I'm out of my box.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it just, the rest of the night was a blur. Then we ended up meeting up with you guys later again, just continuing to drink. And like, just so drunk.
Yeah.
And just should have stopped hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that happens. Like, what is it about? Because about being social like that. And again, I think it's like you can have, like, I can have 2 drinks and I can be like, I can have that cutoff of like, no, I'm good, I'm just gonna have water. But if I go over that and then you switch to like, you get to the 3rd drink and then that 3rd leads to the 4th, and then you just are in this like circle where once you go over that edge, it's like I don't stop. Like you're just in it.
Well, it's
like,
funny because I realized, do you know not one time did I actually walk to the bar and order myself a drink? It was just
don't
one.
remember anything.
No, I'm just saying for myself because I was like, dude, I'm good. Like I didn't have a craving for more. I felt good. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't know why, but every time I went back to the table, there was a drink and I don't know who was ordering. But like even the guys I were with, I didn't feel like they were ordering. I think, so we know the manager at the bar and I think he was just bringing
them
drinks.
over.
Like,
yeah.
And then it's like they're sitting there and then you're talking and you don't even realize it. Like it could have been water. I have no idea. Like you're just drink. Oh, it's gone. Like, okay, cool. And then I would like walk around and talk to somebody else and whatever and get into conversations. And next thing you know, like I'm literally lights out. And then it's like disturbing because like Kim had her own issues, obviously violently hungover.
You can't just.
Well, it's like I feel like we're kind of.
But don't say my part.
Oh, okay.
To wrap it up, I came home. My friend brought me home.
Well, I called them because you were sitting there with me saying you wanted me to come home.
Well, yeah, because I needed to go home and like wanted my husband to come home with me, which I don't think is a weird thing.
Well, no, for the night of being like you were going with Debbie, I was hanging out with my friends. That's what the plan was. And then you guys joined us.
No, you guys joined us.
No, we came and said hi. Then you guys showed up at our dinner, and then
you told us to come over there.
Yeah, if you want to come to Meehan's, but like I was in general hanging out with my friends for the night.
Yeah,
that was the plan. You were hanging out with Debbie for the night, whatever that was. I was hanging out with my friends for the night. So then, yeah, we were in the right place. We met. We all hung out, and then you were like, "Okay, I'm ready to go. You should come home too." And I was like, well, no, like I'm hanging out with my friends, but then Debbie and Jimmy were there, and so I called them, and they came and got you, which was nice because Jimmy was not drinking, and so he drove you home, and there you go.
Yeah. I came home and violently threw up for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, so sick. And I was just like, I mean, probably till like 5 in the morning. 6 in the morning, maybe. I don't know. I was so sick. I'm still, this is 2 days later. I woke up this morning. I did not feel well. Like, I still feel kind of like, like not like my best self. So I was so hungover. And then you go ahead.
Well, it's like crazy because everything was fine. Everything's good. Having great conversations. I actually didn't even feel that bad. And then my buddy is like recently within the last like year and a half to 2 years has been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with his son, and he's kind of getting really involved in it. So we were talking. I'm just guessing at this point of like what happened. So like the bar closes. They're like everybody out. So we shut it down. So we said our goodbyes. We walk out the back door, and for some reason I thought it would be a great idea, and nobody even egged me on. Nobody dared me. Nobody was even talking. My friends ended up trying to stop me and were like yelling, "What are you doing?" I thought it would be fun to run and channel my Olympic / maybe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
or pole vaulter
action movie, like look at me go kind of agility. And I decided to hop the wall like over a chair, I think, and ended up clipping my back foot on the chair and just going face first onto the cobblestone literally landing on my shoulder and my head. And like this homeless guy was there, and he sees me right in front of me, and he just turns around and runs away. And like my buddy's like, "What are you doing, dude?" Like,
well, you landed on your face.
Landed on my face.
And your arm.
Yeah.
And you have road rash.
Oh yeah.
All over your arm.
Yeah.
And
my shoulder is like, yeah.
You thought your wrist was broken.
Yeah.
But come to find out, we think it's actually from golfing.
Yeah, it's sore from, because apparently it's like my right shoulder, my right side of my head. So I fell on my right side. So my left wrist is messed up. So I didn't fall on my left wrist. I fell on my right side.
Yeah.
And my right hand has like road rash where I put my fist down. So like, anyway.
Yeah.
But see, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like right there, I could have like ruined it for what?
You could have gotten severely injured.
Why?
That's what's
Why?
wrong with us.
And that's what's like the bullshit thing of like that we had a whole discussion today on like, that's so uncalled for.
Yeah.
On so many levels. Like, yes, go out and have fun. Like, go out and enjoy some drinks with your friends. But, like, why am I hurdling back walls?
Because we think things like that are funny and a good idea when we're drinking.
It's not.
Debbie and I kept telling people that we were shooting a docuseries, shooting a Netflix special, and, like, telling them all about it. And we just got into this thing, and we thought it was so funny.
You guys always do that.
Do we?
You guys always come up with something.
But that's what I mean. What you think is smart or funny or a good idea when you're drinking, it's like in your, like, that's why, like, why you thought that was a good idea because you were drinking and like probably thought it was going to be funny, and it's like you literally land on your face.
There was nothing for funny. It was basically like I'm just exiting the bar.
I don't know, dude. But here's my thing. So this is what we've been like conflicted with, because it's fun. Like it was fun. I like to have drinks sometimes. Again, our trips, we drink, right? Depending on the trip, but like we have wine and we have drinks involved because that's always how we like to travel. It's like we'll have a fun dinner, we'll have some drinks, we do hiking, we do adventures, but we always like a nice mix of things, right? And so it's a weird thing because I'm like, if it was just us in our normal life and we weren't hosting any of these trips, especially like Oaxaca, there's a lot of mezcal, Greece, there's a lot of wine, I would be like, you know what? I'm good for a minute. I'm not saying I'm going to live sober for the rest of my life, but like, I feel really good. And like, I don't want to drink for an unforeseen period of time. I don't know. Because I also know that I can go out to dinner with you and have a Pellegrino or go with friends and have a good time. Like, I'm social. I'm fun. I like to talk to people in general. I don't feel like I need alcohol to elevate an experience. I almost feel like alcohol I almost feel like sometimes it like makes me turn into someone I don't want to be in a sense, right? Like if I go to another level, I'm like, God, what was I thinking? Why did I act like that? So I almost feel like I'm better without it, right? But I've also never really been in social situations like that where I haven't drank because I've always been a drinker. I've always been like a party girl. Even in high school, like I was always like a fun party girl. It's fun, like let's have drinks. Like that's always how I've identified, and I do enjoy it. And I don't think I've ever been in places that I chose not to drink in a social setting. I always look at those people like, oh, that's so weird they don't drink, I wonder why, right? And so trying to navigate how to be social and how to be a part of things but not run into but not drink.
Well, it's called having a glass of wine.
I know, but I feel like I wouldn't even do that. Like if it wasn't for our trips at this point, how I feel and how I woke up yesterday morning and how I still feel, and looking back on that, I'm like, oh my God, like that is not who I want to be. Like someone who pukes for like 5 hours straight and like just absolutely felt like dog shit all day yesterday. And was so drunk that like I don't remember the end of the night. That's not who I want to be. And so it's a weird place that, you know, we've been talking about yesterday and today of just trying to navigate this new relationship with alcohol, because it's weird because I don't feel like we have quote unquote a drinking problem where if like, for instance, my dad was an alcoholic and it was very clear, don't drink because you are going to kill yourself. And
Well, he lost his life from it.
He did lose his life from it. He also lost a lot. So it's very cut and dry. Like, don't drink. You have a problem. So it's a weird place to be like, when people don't have a quote unquote problem, but alcohol is affecting their life in a way that doesn't feel good. How do you differentiate between...
But we were also talking about this morning, and like, we've run multiple trips. Bali in general is a very heavily drinking trip. Mm-hmm. And you are fantastic.
Yeah.
You're up the next morning. Yeah, you don't feel your best, and we are completely exhausted by the end of it. And I think it is because of the amount of drinking. But like, you're not throwing up and going crazy, and you're literally cutting off and going to bed after like dinner.
Yeah.
Like, you go to dinner, we have the drinks, you laugh, you have fun, we have conversations around the table, and then we sing on the way home, and then you go to bed. It's like perfectly fine. It just so happens, since we stopped drinking and only started drinking in 30-day increments, you've gotten really sick and really hungover, which I think is helpful because it kind of shows you like, why? Like, you know, like, how do I want to feel? And we've been feeling so good. I think you can look at both sides of the fence now.
Well,
and see, but yet, like, knowing that this isn't something that happens to you all the time.
I think it's, well, yeah, I'm somebody who's 90% of the time gonna be hungover. But not like the last two times. I think I'm so scarred because the last two times I've drank, I've thrown up for like 5-6 hours straight. Yeah. I think too, because I thought even yesterday how I felt. I'm like, if I had to get up and like run a trip and like, I couldn't do it. So I don't want to put myself in those situations. And we were even saying, you know, times on our trips that we'll find ourselves getting like frustrated or impatient or it's always if we're hungover and you're tired and you're like, I don't feel like dealing with people. And like, that's not the kind of person I want to be. I want to feel good. I want to connect with people. I don't want to be like, I'm hungover, so I don't feel like dealing with people. Like, our job is to like make sure that everyone's having the best time possible. And so I don't want to be operating from a place of I feel like shit and now like leave me alone.
Well, right. You know and I think, well, that's my typical hangover. Yeah. I'm not throwing up. I don't feel awful.
Yeah.
Nothing that an Excedrin can't help, and some water. But what happens is I like to just go into a recluse kind of state. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear talking. I don't want to be involved in conversations. Like, don't talk to me. I won't talk to you. Everything's fine. Can everybody just be quiet?
Which is the opposite of what our trips are.
Exactly. Because it's like people are happy and they're in a new country and they're having fun and like blah, blah, blah. And it's like great conversation. And I feel myself getting annoyed for no reason. And so I've realized like I don't want to show up like that because I can pinpoint every single time that I have felt overly annoyed and just needed to sleep. And it's because I was coming off a heavy drinking night the night before.
Yeah.
And that's like sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, you know.
I think it's just ending like navigating a new landscape and trying to find a relationship with alcohol that and I hate it's not even like that's healthy because it's like I don't want to it's not painting a picture of like we have some sort of alcohol problem because I don't think that's the case. I just think we're realizing that we want less and less and less of that sort of lifestyle because it doesn't serve us. And anytime we're like on the struggle bus or we're like, oh God, it's or there's some sort of like destructive behavior, it's always due to alcohol. So it's like trying to figure out how to be social and navigate this new dynamic because it's something I've never ever thought about in that sort of a way. Because I'm a drinker. I've always been a drinker. I've never even thought about it. But I don't like the way that I felt the last couple of times. And I know that's not who I want to be and how I want to show up. And I know you feel the same way. But you don't get hungover. So it is a little different for you because you look back and you're like, oh my God, like I feel tired and I feel run down. But it's not like you're like, you can get up and live life if you needed to.
Well, look at how it happened in Patagonia. Like I wasn't drinking enough to get like wasted because we had to hike the next day.
Yeah.
So I'd have a couple glasses of wine, maybe a beer during and after dinner, and then like wake up the next day and hike, and I was actually perfectly fine. Nobody annoyed me. I was good to go, like conversational, everything. So it's like finding that balance between I don't need to get schnockered.
Yeah.
Like and go like all night long, party, disco ball, woo! Like no, like have some drinks, enjoy it, enjoy the conversation, enjoy the people around me, and then call it a night. Drink a Pellegrino and go to bed.
A Pellegrino.
Pellegrino, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
I know. I think for me, I'm gonna try to. I said I wasn't gonna drink at all, but
we're going to Oaxaca, dude.
We're going to Oaxaca. And also, like, we're going to Greece. I do love wine, but I'm going to really, I don't know, I'm going to be thoughtful and intentional and mindful of how I feel because I don't want to risk ruining a day. And try to think about, like, having 2 drinks. Because for me, I'm great. It's when I go to, like, more than that, especially now. So I think we'll see how it goes. And I think we just want to be honest and kind of share something that we're going through and trying to navigate because it's new. And we're just going to take it day by day and kind of see where this goes. But I know a lot of people, like in our life at least, are leaning more into living more of this kind of sober life. Where drinking isn't as much of a part as it used to be in our life. And maybe that's because of our age. Maybe that's because of, you know, the chapter we're in and how we want to feel. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of people around us are also in that phase, trying to like navigate it and being social. And I don't know. So we'll just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah.
All
right.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we will be in Oaxaca this time when you're listening to this on Thursday. And you can follow along on our Insta story at Kim and Aaron G for our first Oaxaca Travsessed trip. And
yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Nothing
See
else?
you next week.
I was waiting for some weird sign off.
No, I don't have one.
Okay.
Not today.
Alrighty. We'll see you next week. Bye.